Hey everybody, and welcome back to Automotive News. I'm your host Primo, and today we're going to be talking about some sad news. Gerald Weigert, the creator of the Vector product, has passed away. 1, 2, 3. Hey everybody, welcome back. The news today is very solemn news. It's unfortunate. January 15th of 2021, Gerald Weigert passed away. It was very quiet. A lot of people didn't really get the news of his passing. I got it really late from somebody who actually lived, that was a car person that lived close to Gerald himself, and was able to pass on the news to me. So it was unfortunate news. A lot of people did some fact checking right after, and we found out that it was indeed true that he had passed away. And a lot of people have gone ahead and posted that information and let everybody know. I think it's important to kind of give a gist of what Gerry meant to the society that we live in, with communities and cars, and especially exotics and supercars. There was an interesting thing that was going on back then, and it kind of defined who we were, and Gerry kind of rode that wave. So there's something I wanted to go over with you, kind of go over a little bit of his history and what happened and how it came about to be one of the craziest stories we've ever heard. So Gerry started off designing the W2, and this was in the late 1970s, so around 78. At the LA Auto Show, he had announced a new concept car. It was the Vector W2. The Vector W2 was a crazy supercar. It had a 350 Chevy-sourced V8 engine that produced 650 horsepower. Now today, those numbers might seem like a big deal, but back then, the biggest car in every kid's wall was the Lamborghini Countach, and at the time, it only made 350 horsepower. So when we first saw this futuristic vehicle, we thought, wow, this is something that's going to be groundbreaking. It's going to change the face of the way cars were made and seen, and it would also be something that was very cool to any of you supercar fans, and that was bringing the domestic market into the supercar arena. We wanted something to compete against big brands like Ferrari and Porsche, and that was something a lot of people didn't feel like we really had. And we had come into a gas embargo, so a lot of the vehicles that we had at the time had been depowered. Some cars, V8s, were only making around 200 horsepower at the time. So the idea of having a 650 horsepower supercar capable of what they were guessing was 240 miles per hour was a big deal. Later on, they did actually test the Vector W2 on the salt flats and was able to get up to the 242 mile per hour mark that they had originally claimed the vehicle could do. But unfortunately, Gerry was never really happy with his creations, and he wanted to continue to take this vehicle and expound on it and make it bigger, more powerful, something really cool that everybody could have fun with. The aspect of being able to have maybe a rotary engine or sticking with the 350. All these things were design things that went into the vehicle, and he continued to rally around it and continue to make things. Unfortunately, this is where a problem started to occur for Gerry. The vehicle was unveiled in 1989 as a production vehicle, and a famous tennis player picked up his first vehicle. He was told not to drive the vehicle fast or push it in any way because a lot of design and still tuning needed to be done to the vehicle to make it perfect. He didn't listen, and the exhaust on the vehicle heated up to the point where it caught fire to the rear carpet of the vehicle and caused problems, at which point it was returned to him and a refund was requested. The car for sale at the time was for $400,000, which again was quite a bit amount of money. When the vehicle was finally given to Automotive magazines to take the vehicle and test, it was making 625 horsepower. Even though they knew the vehicle could go 200 plus miles per hour, obviously the salt flats had proven that. The magazine writers were told not to take it up over 200 miles per hour. The recorded 0 to 60 was 4.2 seconds, and the top speed was guesstimated at around 216 miles per hour. So we're guessing at that 200 mile per hour mark, they were kind of hitting a wall about how fast the vehicle could go. Vector W8 in all had 17 units made for them, but unfortunately did not get a lot of traction in the market, and a lot of investment had been made over the almost 10-year span to create the vehicle. Although it did have a lot of excitement heaped on it, It was actually failing to deliver. People had purchased the vehicle, found that other plastic parts and other things in it were not able to maintain the power that it was requested of them, and a lot of stuff in the vehicle broke, which was unfortunate because a lot of the vehicles needed a great deal of work to be put together. Some automotive enthusiasts had explained that the vehicle was a death trap, that it was just a vehicle made to be fast and not a lot of engineering or design or other things had gone into its creation. So the WA did not do very well, and at some point Weigert basically stopped making the vehicle. At this point, losing money, a great deal of it, around I believe $24 million, Gerry had to look for ways out. The firm Megatech jumped on board and purchased the brand, putting a great deal of money into it to try to develop another supercar from that. Megatech at the time actually owned Lamborghini. So the first vehicle they designed was an attempt to merge these two things together and make something that would continue to produce the brand. It was great in the idea that the vehicle was space age, very cutting edge, a lot of the things that went into it, but the vehicle again was not desired by those that could afford the price tag on it. And again, it was a vehicle that didn't sell. At some point, the Megatech advisors decided to vote Gerry off of the board of advisors, at which point Gerry went back to the office, changed all the locks, hired an armed guard, and refused to move. This did not stop anything from happening, and he was voted out of the board. They went on to build the M12 using the Lamborghini's V12 motor put into the power plant and tried to really revise the brand and do something with it. Unfortunately, Megatech was not able to do anything with it, at which point Lamborghini was sold to Audi. Gerry fought for the brand himself to get it back and was able to win it in court and get all the things back from it. At the time it was named Avtech, so everything changed over to his new Vector name and he was able to get everything started back up. Gerry didn't give up. He continued to try to make a vehicle. His promise of his next vehicle was 1,890 horsepower from a 10-liter engine. The car that he put forward used a lot of Camaro styling that was on the vehicle and also had super headlights, which gave it a lot of negative press at the time of its release and was never produced. Gerry continued to work on it, and as always, he was looking for investors to put money into the project. The investors never really came to be, and then he was, as far as we know, he was still working on that vehicle when he passed away. Gerry was a great guy. A lot of people would look at him as he is some sort of revolutionary, and he definitely changed the face of the way we look at cars. It's unfortunate that his brand was not able to find success. A lot of the kids out there that are from the 80s would probably know the Vector brand very well. Unfortunately, the people today, not so much, because it wasn't a brand that really caught on or did much, which again is really unfortunate because it really tried to push an edge that a lot of cars that do today. A good variation of it is, for instance, Christian von Koenigsegg with the Koenigsegg brand. He started off using Ford power plants, turned it into a productive vehicle, was able to make a fast product, turn around not many cars, but in other words, enough cars to get ahead of whatever curve he needed to continue to run the brand, and obviously make a successful product. Gerry was never able to find that, and I wonder today if with the support he would have from guys like Christian, or maybe somebody like Pagani, or maybe even McLaren on his side, I tend to wonder if Gerry would have been able to move forward and make a brand. He would be another person that was trying to break some sort of land speed record, and maybe instead of the McLaren, we'd actually be remembering Vector as the fastest car in the world. But we can't see Gerry as a failure. The reality is he was able to make his car, and he did make a bunch of cars that were purchased and are still coveted today. Cars that are futuristic and very different from much of the vehicles that we're going to see on the road. And it's something that has a very solid place in history. And unlike many of the brand owners today, Gerry is one of the few people that got to say that his brand was owned by him when he died. Will we see more from Vector in the future? It's a great question. I highly doubt we're going to see much from it in the future. Unfortunately, we have a lot of other great brands right now that really have found great success and will continue to find success. We hope that other people out there will follow Gerry's suit and maybe start a car company in their backyard or in their garage and build it into something that's great. And we have a lot of brands today to prove that that is even more feasible now than it ever was before. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you're going to like and subscribe to the video. Share this around. Help everybody else remember the great history that we have. And I hope you'll continue to tune into more stuff in the future. Thank you guys. We will see you next time. And as always, don't forget to drive.